What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast. I'm your host, Graham Powell, on this screen. On the other screen is Michelle Zangulis. Say what's up, Michelle.
What's up, Michelle?
Well, we got a few things to talk about. We'll get to that here in a sec. First, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. The Tough Runs Don't Last podcast is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon, and the one of a kind Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience, track it with your fitness app of choice, screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the Submit Results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series. And you can find us, the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at TR Don't Last. No apostrophes.
No apostrophe.
All right. What are you up to, Michelle? You look very lively right now.
I just woke up from a nap, so we're living our best life on this Sunday afternoon. I was very productive this morning, so I think I deserved that nap.
You did a lot of things before I even got out of bed. You made like 8 loaves of bread. Um, are you sharpening your skills since your first place finishes at the county fair, or like what's the motivation behind
I mean, this was just for fun. A friend asked me to make them a specific kind of bread, and so I told them I would try. So this was just me trying a new bread recipe that I've never done before. I'm just trying to be a good friend.
that? Okay, it's zucchini bread, correct?
It is zucchini bread, and I did try it. I am not a fan, but I feel like it's gonna be a very specific taste that likes it. And I am not that person.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to ask what it tastes like, but I imagine it's bread with zucchini in it. So,
You actually can't taste the zucchini. It's a spiced zucchini bread. Um, and I think that the spices it can't decide if it's spiced or if it's sweet. Like, so the flavors are competing. It doesn't really know what it is.
okay. Well, we'll save the rest of that for your bread podcast whenever that comes out. We'll update everyone if that ever becomes a thing. I will not be a part of it. I like to eat bread, not make it. All right. So, we are a running show, so we'll talk about that a little bit. I had a 10K race yesterday in Fort Smith, Arkansas, the second most populous city in the natural state, and went well, all things considered. I'll go through all that in a little bit, but I am entering week 3 of my Rhino Ultra journey. I have 2 down, 8 to go. I have until November 20th to finish these 8 remaining half marathons. I did this last one. I made it a personal goal. I wanted to do one of these runs in less than 2 hours, one of these half marathons in less than 2 hours, and not save it for like a race, like a Grand Prix race, because I still have the Arkansas 20K, which I'm planning to turn into a half marathon when I finish. I'll finish and then just run, you know, whatever it is, a little over half a mile more, and then I can count that as one of my Rhino Ultras. So that's my plan to do that. But it's a race day, so it's different. I'll be more motivated. The weather's going to be cooler. It's an October 20th race. So my goal is to make one of these training runs. And it's harder to do a training run by yourself in less than 2 hours than when you're in an actual race around competition. So that was a reason I wanted to do that. I did it. I came in at 159, like 38. I think it was 159.38. I was pushing it. I finished like going up a hill behind the Cabot football stadium. and actually going towards Pine Street, which is a main street here in Cabot. And and I don't know, my goals can happen like in the moment or they change in the moment. And I thought, okay, because I was saying like 13.16, like just go a little bit over 13, that 13.11. And then I was like, let's go to 13.18. And then in the moment, I was like, let's just go to 13.21. Because if you go 13.20, you'll get the Strava tax and it'll say 13.19. And I just don't like the way that looks. So I did all that. And at the same time, I'm at 159 and change. So I'm like, okay, if I go over two, it's all kind of all null and void. So I had to pay really close attention to that. It was dark out at this point, probably a little after 9. And so I can't see very well. I'm on a street that's not that well lit. Um, and it's hilly, like kind of up and down. I'm exhausted, very dehydrated at this point. Didn't stop for water, didn't stop to pee, anything like that. Just 13 point so and so in almost 90 degrees, even at night. It was hot. And so I'm a little bit not disoriented, but just very tired and dehydrated, paying attention to my watch and running hard. And as I was finishing up, I had to go over this like curb and I didn't lift my foot up high enough. I tripped. I did a roll. Good thing about playing football, I kind of learned how to fall. So I did a roll, hopped up, looked at my watch. I was at 13.22, I believe, or 23. I think it was 13.23 is what it said. And I was like, okay, stopped it. It was 137, I think. And of course, you get the Strava tax. Took it to or excuse me, 159.37. Strava tax took it to 159.38. I did it. Had a slow walk back, drank a lot of water. Wished I had a Gatorade in that moment. Like I was craving a that dark blue Gatorade, like a 32-ounce one of those. I was like an ice cold one. I was craving that really badly. But all I had was room temperature water at home, but it worked. I went home. I had 3 water bottles in my car. I took all 3 out, sat down on my step in front of my door, let the dog out, let him do his thing, and I couldn't really chug the water. I was so tired and dehydrated. I just kind of had to like sip it because I didn't want to throw it up because I didn't feel very good. Oh, I forgot to mention I got food poisoning Monday. So there was that. I missed work Tuesday. Don't get the reduced price chicken at your local Kroger. That was a bad idea. Now it was cooked, it was baked chicken, and the expiration date was a day later than what it was when I bought it. So I said, okay, I'm good. They're just trying to get rid of this early. Think it, that's my thought process. Um, and so I go home and I eat that because I needed something to eat Monday night. And I ate it and I realized about an hour later that was not a good idea. But I was hoping it like that would be the worst of it. I didn't feel good, but not like sick. Woke up at 3:30 a.m. very sick. Did not, yeah, just it was bad. And I'll save everybody the details of my time in the bathroom because I know Michelle likes to talk about that a lot, but
Bill does not like to talk about that.
I don't want to put everyone else through that, even though Michelle likes it so much. Um, all the details, but uh, excuse me. Yeah, I was dealing with that. I started to feel better Tuesday night, but not 100%. Even Wednesday, I mean, I felt good enough to run and sub two, obviously, but I paid for it. I didn't. I still didn't feel well, really, even up until Friday. Like leaving work, I didn't feel very good. I was just fatigued and like not sick. I just didn't feel good. Just didn't feel 100%. So I was still kind of dealing with everything. Today I feel 100%. After the race yesterday, I felt 100%. Um, During even, I guess I did too. I've kind of felt dehydrated all week. When I got into Fort Smith Friday, I got there Friday night, checked into the hotel. Dexter was with me, so got him situated. Took a little longer than usual because he decided to take a dump in the hallway on the way to the room. So I had to clean that up so I could avoid the $80 incidental fee hitting me. And yeah, it was. I went. I was able to get food. Had some pretty good food, some Mediterranean food. I had a big gyro and some lemon rice. And went to Walmart, got what I needed. I got an 8 pack of Gatorade, and I drank like 5 of them that night. It was 4 or 5 of them that night. I mean, that's how much I wanted it, and they weren't even like that cold, because the fridge wasn't working Friday night. It was kind of weird. Um, so I had all of those Gatorades drank by the time I got home yesterday. Like I finished off the last one when I got home yesterday afternoon. But the race itself, me and my buddy on the training run or the warm up run before the race, he said he got a goal. I was like, sub two, no, excuse me, sub 50 minutes, which is less than 50 minutes. And his was less than he was going to go for around the 45 range. Neither of us did that. We were both, I was 5 seconds behind him. But yeah, it was hot and we all had to deal with it. It was very hot and humid. No, it was not a day to PR that kind of race. Nobody was going to do that. But I don't know. We pushed through. We got it done. They had a turnaround at the halfway point because you're just running on a bike trail, really. And the last part of it that we ran on was an old railroad track that they turned into a bike trail. So at the turnaround, they had like the spot to turn around. They said run around, you go around and you circle around the water table, and they had Gatorade. They had ice cold Gatorade on it, and I saw that, and because I wasn't going to stop, and I was like, no, I was really thirsty. I grabbed one, I chugged it. It was those whatever they are, like 12-ounce ones, maybe. Not the no, not the bigger bottle, but it was a little bit smaller. But I chugged that, and that helped me to finish strong. I also think doing the Rhino Ultra helped out quite a bit too down the stretch, just because it kind of trained me to keep going when I feel tired. And yeah, finished strong. So overall, pleased with the result. Um, and big shout out to my stomach, by the way, for holding it together.
I was
Because
hoping we were gonna get through this without talking about this part.
no, we have to. Like it was a major part of the experience. I won't go into as many details as I told. I won't tell you the whole or tell everybody the whole story about that. But I was very nervous about my stomach, whether or not it was going to keep things together. And getting to the race, I tried beforehand to go to the bathroom, and we're very much talking number two. Um, just to be clear. And I get there, and there's one like little bathroom area to go to. It's downtown Fort Smith. There's one area to go to, but the lights were off. So it was so early that they hadn't turned the lights on, and you can't turn them on from inside the bathroom. Somebody else has to do it apparently from another part of the building structure it was attached to. So all the stalls were full. Well, one you couldn't see. I went back to go get my phone for the flashlight. All the stalls were taken up, and by the time there was a window for me to do it. The race was about to start, so I couldn't do anything. They had nothing on the course, porta potty wise or anything like that. So if you have to go to the bathroom, you're just screwed. I mean, you just would have been in trouble. Yeah. So I didn't have to during the race. I was nervous about it the whole time, but I didn't have to. A little bit after I finished, it started to hit me, or I could tell something was happening. So I tried to go there again, and the lights were on, but all the toilet paper was gone, except in the one stall. where it was clogged and just had feces on top of feces. So I said I was 12 minutes from my hotel, and I said I'm just gonna pull it till I get to the hotel. So I was able to do that. The race experience itself, uh, minus that, A plus as far as well done and things like that. There were a lot of people cheering along the course. It was well done. It was well run. The only major critique, make sure the bathrooms are good to go for runners beforehand. Like make sure the lights are on, make sure there's plenty of toilet paper, that kind of thing. Have some porta potties somewhere, just as a backup option. It's a good idea. That's my only major critique. I feel like I spared everyone the gory details I gave you.
For the most part, yeah,
Yeah. We try to keep it PG-ish on the show.
ish. Um, I mean, I would prefer we not talk about it at all, but
It's a part of the running community. So I mean, it's just you got to.
that's what you keep saying.
Well, you watched Fight Club with me for the first time last night,
Yes.
and you kept wanting me to tell you why there was like this little glitch flash early in the movie and what it was and why. I was like, I can't tell you; it'll ruin the movie. And you just, I don't know, you seem like you didn't believe me to an extent. I was like, I'm not being dramatic. It will ruin the movie.
Yeah. I have questions. I need questions answered when I'm watching movies. And I was very frustrated because I had a lot of questions and you didn't answer any of them.
No, that's why you watch the movie, and the movie then answers the question as the movie progresses.
That's
That's
not
how
that's not how my brain works.
that's how storytelling works.
Well, I'm
Has
not a
since the
fan.
beginning of time.
Not a fan.
Yeah. Okay, not a fan. I mean, that's okay. What did you think of Fight Club, by the way?
It was there was a twist that I was not expecting. Um,
You
but if you're
actually figured it out
I
eventually.
I did figure it out, but it was all of the pieces, like it all kind of started coming together and I was like, "Oh, wait, is that XYZ?" It's an old movie.
The movie's
Spoilers.
been out 25 years. If you haven't seen it now, that's on you.
The
So
fact that I did not know that is kind of surprising to me, the fact that it was still a secret to me. But I really didn't know that that was like the premise behind that movie. I really honestly truly thought it was just a movie about an underground fight club. Like I did not realize there was all of this other stuff mixed into it. And so I was confused, but it was a decent movie.
yeah, it's a good movie. It's based on a book. You know that, right?
I did not.
Yeah, it's based on a book by, I believe, Chuck Palahniuk, and I like some of his. I like his stuff. Um, I don't read a lot, but he's one that I do like to read. Yes, it's based off of a book. That's why the storytelling part of it was the way it was. It wasn't just bunch of dudes getting together to fight. There was a lot more to it. Okay, so uh, moving on to back to running, I guess. I was pleased with how I did yesterday. It went as well as it could. If you would have told me beforehand I'd come in over 50, I would have been disappointed. But considering how hot and humid it was, I'm very pleased with how it went. I kind of gauge how I do amongst the other participants too, as far as am I satisfied with how I did. Um, the guy who my buddy who always beats me, I was only 5 seconds behind him. So I consider that a win. And nobody beat me that shouldn't beat me. So that's good enough for me. But yeah, hopefully we get some cooler weather next Saturday, next Saturday, because you and I are racing next Saturday. Next Saturday is our local 5K or yeah, the great 5K pumpkin run, whatever it's called. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's the pumpkin run. It's a 5K in Lonoke, our hometown, and you and I are both doing that. It is a state championship Grand Prix race, so lots of points to be earned for Grand Prix participants. There will be a lot of people there. There will be a lot of very fast runners, and there's going to be a lot of very fast times because Lonoke is as flat as can be, and so is this course. And I know that town like the back of my hand, so I wouldn't even need a watch to know how far I have until I'm done. But I'll still be wearing it anyway. But I am looking forward to it. I ran it in 2018 one time. That's the only time I've ever run it was in 2018. I came in at 22:28, and I only remember that because, like I said last week, I came in 3 seconds slower in Branson the following weekend and got third overall in that race. Came in seventh in my age group at the Pumpkin Run. But when it's a state championship Grand Prix race, there's going to be a lot of fast people. So it, I'm very much looking forward to it. This is going to be number 17 of 20 Grand Prix races. So getting closer to the finish line as far as the series goes, that's exciting for me. I've enjoyed the experience, but training for it and pushing yourself that hard for so long isn't something I want to do forever. I enjoy it in the moment, and I'll be proud of it later on. But it is tough in the moment. But there is something very rewarding about it as well, and I don't know, it just makes you feel good. Just confidence wise, and pleased with the just being pleased with I don't know your effort kind of thing, if that makes any sense at all.
Makes sense to me. Do you have a specific goal for next week?
It depends on it will always it's always sub 24 depending on the heat factor. I would like to come closer to what I did in 2018. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that, but I'm certainly going to attempt it. I'm going to attempt that pace and see how it goes. We'll because you can have that's the thing about running a competitive race and just I mean you know what it was like doing track in high school. You have an idea of what you want to do, but you don't know really how it's going to go until you start like running. Until you start actually doing it on that day, you don't know how it's going to go. I realized at the halfway point yesterday in Fort Smith, I'm not getting a sub 50. Like it's not happening. It was too hot. It was too humid. My legs weren't there to be able to do that. So you really I could sit here and tell you I have a goal, but you have to factor in other things, weather, temperature, humidity, all that. So I don't know. I'll try to come to as close as I did to the result I had in 2018. I guess that's my goal. If I can come in around 22 and a half minutes, yeah, I'll be very pleased with that. I'll also be a little bit surprised. I'll sub 24 it. I'm not worried about that. Even if it's hot, I'll sub 24 it. But beyond that, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Uh, a guy I know from Lonoke, he said back in March he'd like to try to sub 20 it. Um, but that was during the spring fling, and I think he came in like anywhere between like 1 and 5 seconds over that. So, but it was much cooler then. We're not going to have that advantage going into Saturday.
No,
I don't
it's
think.
supposed to be in the high 80s again on Saturday, which means the morning will probably be the 70s, but if it's going to be high 80s, it's going to be humidity. It's going to have a lot of humidity.
Yeah, it'll be like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's more realistic of me to probably say it'll be in like the 23s my time, like the low 23s, which I'll be okay with that. As long as my efforts on point and my stomach holds up, knock on some wood here. I'll be happy with how it goes, I think. What about you? What's your goal, Michelle? Don't say,
Um,
and you can't say finish.
an hour?
Like less than that?
Yeah, we'll go
Okay.
with that. Um,
Are you run walking or just walking?
I will decide that on Saturday. Um,
Okay.
it has not been a great time. We've talked a little bit about it. Things are still not great for me health wise, so that'll be decided on Saturday. I might do a mix. It's probably going to be more walking than I would if I did do like my normal intervals, but we'll make that decision Saturday morning.
I think that's a good way to go about it. Uh, yeah, I had a lot of question marks just myself with my stomach at the race yesterday, so I get it. Fortunately, everything held up just fine. Um, oh, yesterday was a really good day. I had a good run in Fort Smith. Got to get outside of Central Arkansas for a bit. The Razorbacks won a football game, an SEC football game, beating Auburn. So, um, yeah, Blue Pig City on that. And I don't know, it's just a good day. Today I'm going to mow. I'm going to get a sweat on that way. I am rocking my Stampede 10K shirt. I should probably show it off just because nobody can see it. All right.
It's a nice,
I have to push myself off the chair so it looks funny when I'm doing that, but it's what it is. Because when I turned the camera on, I was like, "This is kind of pointless of me to wear this shirt. Nobody can see it." Although, as we were doing this podcast, I've somehow just zoomed out. I don't know how that happened. Did you notice that too?
I did.
It kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." If I do this a little bit, you can see it more. Yeah, so you can see it more this way a little bit.
A little bit.
But yeah. Yeah, I look forward to Saturday. I said, and it's just a 5K. So that was the thing about yesterday. I was at the halfway point. I was thinking, if this were a 5K, I'd be done, you know. Um, but that Gatorade at the halfway point was a game changer. Also, they had water, like ice cold water and Gatorade at the finish yesterday too in Fort Smith. That's the Stampede 10K. That is. They did have a 5K too. Uh, but yeah, I grabbed a water. I mean, I'm exhausted, at this point and really dehydrated. She goes, "You want a Gatorade?" She goes, "Yes." And that Gatorade hits so different. It goes back to that when you're just really, really dehydrated and tired and thirsty. That when that ice cold Gatorade hits your lips and just the back of your throat, it is. I said it yesterday, almost like a religious experience. It's, I don't know, it's amazing. Very few feelings like that.
I do enjoy Gatorade, especially after like being out in the heat. It hits different.
Yeah, I'll probably try to get some this week. Have some ready for after my third Rhino Ultra run on Wednesday. I'm wearing my Arkansas Travelers hat because the Travelers are in the league championship for the second year in a row. They're in game one right now in Midland. They were winning 2-1 last I checked. Game two and three, if necessary, are in Little Rock. I doesn't look like I'm going to get to go to that one. You'll be in class, right?
Unfortunately, every night.
Two, my dad's out of town, so I mean, I don't necessarily have to go with anybody, but it helps a lot if you're doing that. But also, podcast. I got my other podcast Tuesday night, and I do need to do my long Rhino Ultra slash training run Wednesday. I basically reserved Wednesday for that day, so I think I'll just I don't know watch it via Twitter on Tuesday and maybe Wednesday if necessary to see just to stay updated on that. Okay, so are you going to do any kind of exercise before Saturday.
I don't have time to do that.
You could have just said no.
I feel like I need to explain myself.
You do that with every answer that you give, though.
It's very true.
Yeah. Michelle gives essay answer questions, answers in essay. Um, what am I trying to say?
Instead of just giving a one-word answer, I give essay answers.
There you go.
But at
And
least I answer questions. You don't answer questions.
that's
Last
not true.
night, last
I mean,
night I asked a very simple yes or no question, and your response was, I can't give you the answer to that. And it was a yes or no question.
what was the question?
Um, did he blow up his own apartment?
One, that would ruin it. Two, it was a little more complicated than that. Technically, yes was the answer, but he did it as Tyler.
But it
But
was
he
a
didn't
simple yes. Yes.
know he was
Because
Tyler Durden in the moment.
but it was yes. He blew up his own apartment.
Technically, yes, but also I wasn't going to answer that because it would have spoiled it. So I just what some things I'm just not going to answer.
Oh,
I was right to not.
no, absolutely not.
I'll just agree to disagree on that. Okay, well, I'm going to do two. I'm going to mow today, and I'm going to do two runs next week in preparation for next Saturday. All in all, I should have close to 18 miles before of running done before Saturday, so I should be good and prepared. And then I've got basically a month off from competition, so I will have the Rhino Ultra to keep me busy, but I am pacing a race in a half marathon in Fayetteville the week prior to the Benton race. So that should be a good warm up for me. And I'm doing like the 2:10 pace group. So I'm not going too slow. Around that 2:20, 2:30 range, that's pretty slow to me or for me. So that 2:10 is comfortable but steady. Like that's my favorite group to pace just because I don't know, it's kind of perfect for me. I can stay moving, but not too fast and not too slow. Uh, so we've touched up on a lot of stuff. I think we should check on our fantasy football teams because you and I are in a fantasy football league together. Have you looked at the score today?
I did look earlier.
I haven't looked at all, so I don't know how it's going. Primarily because it really doesn't matter because I have three Chiefs players and they don't play till tonight, which I should get to watch the entire game because I believe it's recording on my TV. So even if I'm late mowing, um, because I gotta clean up after that, shower and all that, so it takes a while for me to actually like get done with the mowing process. So I should still get to see the whole game, but for that reason, I just haven't really checked. So I guess we can do that now. Are
Yeah,
you have you already have it pulled up?
I'm not doing great.
You're also playing without a tight end. You had George Kittle who wasn't playing.
Yeah, and my backup had already played, so that was just bad luck. But um, it is what it is. I will probably not win this one, and that's okay.
It's not looking good for me either. I now it's kind of still up in the air. Devonte Smith has done well today, but now it says he's out. Yeah, he's got a concussion, so he left the game with 14.9 points. Mike Evans has been a massive disappointment for 2 weeks in a row. Chris Godwin is kind of emerging as the number one for the Bucks. He's the number one receiver in fantasy football right now, which is a little bit annoying to me. Good for him, but Mike Evans has 3 whole points, so that's awesome. But also, I don't really have anybody playing. I just have two people playing, but the guy I'm playing, his starting running backs are lighting it up. He's got Josh Jacobs who hasn't done anything. So nothing. It's still up in the air for me. I haven't looked at yours. Let's
Well,
ooh.
I'm a little sad because the people on my bench are doing much better than the people I had starting this week, and that's really hurting me.
You're not having a good week. You were off to a bad start Thursday. You had I can't remember his first name, Ramon Stevenson, something like that for the Patriots.
Yeah,
Ramondre. There we go.
he didn't even give me 1 point.
He had 0.3. This is encouraging though. If your bench is doing well, like that is a silver lining. It means like, okay, I'm at least good, like as far as depth goes. To see Romo Dunes get almost 20 points, that's good because he did nothing the first 2 weeks. So I mean, that's a good sign.
And I'm a little upset with that because I do get my advice from TikTok, and TikTok told me to keep him on the bench this week.
You still should. You can't start him over Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, or Tyreek Hill. Even though Tyreek Hill doesn't have Tua, you can't bench Tyreek Hill, at least for Romo Dunes.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, who would you put him in over?
I don't know.
Yeah, you can't put him in over Zay Flowers, Nico Collins, or Tyreek Hill. Like you do not start him over those three. Those are your only three options.
Well, I need Nico Collins to do better.
Uh,
Uh,
Stroud
he's
to do better.
and he's not. Same. But the
They're
rest
going to
we'll
get work.
see. All of mine play within the next couple of hours, so I'll know where I stand this evening.
They are the Texans are getting worked by the Vikings. The Vikings are the surprise team of the league. Sam Darnold in year 7 has emerged as the guy that they thought he could be when he was drafted in the first round 7 years ago. Looked like a complete bust. And like after year 7, he's like, I got it. All right, I figured it out. I figured out how to play in this league, which is a little long, but I mean, he's got he's thrown 4 touchdowns today, no picks. He's got 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions so far this year. I mean, Sam Darnold is lighting it up. I mean, shout out to him. Yeah. So not a good week for either of us. It doesn't. I haven't even seen how the other undefeated guy is. Of
I
course,
haven't
it's
either.
we're 2 weeks in, so who knows? I'm gonna look at that real quick. John's finest team. That's the other name. It's
The,
still up in the air for me. It's just not off to a great start.
oh,
He's
it's
projected to get smoked.
yeah.
So there's a good chance we won't have any unbeatens after this week, which I kind of like that. The best leagues are the ones with the most parity. I won a league. The last time I've won 2 fantasy football championships. The last time I made the playoffs, uh, my regular season record was 7-6. I was a game over 500, and everybody like the I think the best record in the league was 9-4 going into that. So I mean, there was a lot of parity in that league, and I just made 2 really good moves right before during the playoffs that put me over the top. And so those are really kind of the more fun leagues to me when there's a lot of parity and there's not just one dominant team. So this could be fun. I mean, you want to win every week, but it's what it is. Uh, but it's definitely not looking good for you.
No.
It's too early to tell for me, but you should at least be encouraged by your bench a little bit, though. Romo Dune's finally producing. I mean, that's a silver lining to at least be thrilled with. And you couldn't start him over the 3 guys you have in his place. I mean, you can't do that.
Well, I should have because he's gotten 10 more points than the one I started.
You would be crazy to hindsight's always 2020, but to start him over Nico Collins would be nuts. Like that
Well,
would be.
Nico isn't doing well today.
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't have known that unless you had a time machine.
Well, it is what it is.
It is. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. Are you still Are you still, or how are you doing in your other league that you haven't touched? Michelle's in two fantasy football leagues, by the way, everyone. She loves it that much.
I just forgot to leave a league when we were trying to get into the same one. And so I ended up in a random league that auto drafted all of my players. And I'm 2-0 in that one. And I am projected to win again today. And I have done nothing in that league. It has done it all on its own. I did change the name of the league just because it was like Michelle's Marvelous Team. And I was like,
Your,
no,
your team name, you mean?
yeah. And so I did do that, but that's all that I've done.
What's the name? What did you change the name to?
It's She Can Cook. One of my players is something Cook.
I would have said let. I would have named it to let her cook, but that's just me.
Well, it's fine. I mean, that team seems to be doing just great on its own. So,
All right, it looks like we've got a 5-4 game. Travelers winning 5-4 in the fifth inning. I believe they're at the plate too. So, well, yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on. There's a lot of good sports today. We got pro football. The WNBA playoffs have started. Indiana Fever are playing right now. I'm not going to get to, of course, the our Arkansas Travelers in the Texas League Championship, but I'm not going to get to watch any of it because I need to cut my grass. So I'm going to get off here and get ready to go do that so I can clean up in time to watch the Chiefs game in a halfway decent hour. But I have nothing else to add, Michelle. Do you?
I do not.
All right. Well, we'll be back next weekend, next Sunday, I'm sure, to discuss how we did in the pumpkin run. Michelle has a race even after that. She's got consecutive weekends coming up of 5Ks. So this should be interesting. Um, Michelle is doing more races over the next 2 weeks than I am.
It's true.
Well, I mean, I'm doing the Rhino Ultra, so we'll count that. You're doing two more live races. Put it that way.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll be back next Sunday with all that and more. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. I'm Grandpa. That's Michelle Zangulis. Deuces, y'all.
See ya.